So you're wanting to upgrade your house, but you don't know where to start. It can be one of the most stressful things in the world for you unless you have the right strategy. So today in this video, I am going to cover everything that you need to know to make sure that we make that transition from you selling your first house and buying your next house, making sure it's very seamless, very stress-free, and making sure that you have a great opportunity to do that. If you have ever done this before, I would love to hear how your process went and how stressful or not stressful it was. Put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear stories from you and your family and what that was for you. My name is Kyle Powers and I am your Manhattan, Kansas real estate expert, and I'm here to help you throughout the whole process of buying and selling a house at the same time. Let's go ahead and jump in. First thing I'm going to tell you guys to do whenever you're considering this move is assess your financial scenario. Again, if you've watched my videos, you understand this. Champagne taste on a beer budget. You need to make sure that you are financially able to do this. What does that look like? Determine your budget. Purchase price. That's pretty much what we're looking at. And two ways you can look at that is you can look at purchase price or you can look at your monthly payment at the end of the day. And I think both of those are very important depending on which direction you want to go. But this is closing costs, down payments, all of these things that come into play there, inspection costs, things that come with that. The next thing after you've kind of decided like, I kind of want $2,000, $3,000 a month, we can make that happen. We're currently paying $2,000 and we want a bigger house, so I think we can stretch another $1,000. Whatever that looks like for you, and I can't stress this enough that you need to be real with yourself. But how much are you going out? How much are you eating out? Like, where is your budget actually sitting? And are you okay with changing your lifestyle if it needs to be that? Or have you gotten a pay raise that you're good with making an additional payment there? So that's what I would say. That's how you determine where that budget sits. The next thing on there, or within that determining your financial scenario, is getting pre-approved. Again, I've talked about this many times, and I will tell you, having that pre-approval, one, makes you a stronger borrower, makes you a stronger buyer for any seller that you're looking at. And then two, it helps you kind of understand like, okay, I'm approved for $500,000, $600,000, but I don't like that payment. I only want to pay $400,000 for a house. Okay, that's totally fine. Now we know kind of where we're at with that. So getting that pre-approval also lets you know if we can do it, right? Like, you need to understand if we can actually, if you and your family can actually make that additional jump and be able to do that, and someone will lend you money. The next one I will tell you is, what does the overlap look like? This is part of your financial scenario too, though. What does that overlap look like? And what I mean by that is you've got, let's call it house A, you own that house. Can you buy another house and still own this one? Not going to necessarily be long term, but like, I've got clients right now that are in both scenarios here. And the fact that they still live in house A, they're able to buy house B and close on that one regardless. This way definitely makes it less stressful, but you're going to have potentially two house payments. There is more risk with this, and buying this one non-contingent is the biggest risk. The next one you've got is you could do what's called a bridge loan, and where you buy house B while still owning house A. Well, what happens is you only pay the interest at that point in time. That's with the bridge loan. Also a good option. More times than not, what I see people doing is they're buying house B while still owning house A and having these two properties at the same time, but house B is contingent upon house A selling. And I think that's the thing that most people need to kind of figure out. And then there is going to be a small overlap, but we'll talk about that later. Next thing is going to be deciding on the timing. By the way, this is how my wife and I bought our house. We bought our house with the idea of, we put house B under contract, we put house A, our first house, on the market, and we were selling this one while still contingent. House B was contingent upon house A selling. We put house A under contract and we were able to close on it. We did the same day closing. Now, it's exactly what that sounds like, right? I think you need to be aware of that, is that you are moving out of one house and moving into another on the exact same day. You need to figure out, is it a storage unit, which is what we did? Can you get access to maybe the garage, which is also what we did. We had a lot of stuff, I will tell you that. But we were able to get access to the garage. So I'm not even joking you. We packed my entire garage, my current garage, full of all of our household items. By the end of the day, by the end of the closing, we were sleeping on air mattresses and like we were still moving. I'm literally pulling my vehicle out with my last load as the new buyers are pulling in. It doesn't always happen that way, but it is something you may consider, having that 1 or 2 night of staying at a separate property or something like that, just to kind of be ready for that, because it's going to happen. Like, you have to be able to plan for that. And I think that timing really matters too. Also with timing, you got to decide, where does the market conditions. I will tell you, personal experience, personal opinion, and probably a little professional as well. Find the house first. Find the house that you want, and then we put that one under contract with a contingent offer on selling your other house. That makes it a lot less stressful for you, and we have the ability to then kind of play with those and play with closing dates. And it's a little harder in today's market, I will tell you that, so be prepared for sellers to come back in and say, no, we're not doing contingent offers or anything like that. So just be prepared for that. Now, with that, I feel like it's very important to talk to you about contingent offers. If you can do a non-contingent offer, it makes you be that much stronger of a buyer in a seller's eyes. However, I think it is very risky if you do that, because your house may not sell. So there's a big risk with doing a non-contingent offer. So there's a way that we have to kind of meld things together when it comes to that, with buying your next house and making it contingent upon your first house. So there's a way that we can do that. And I'm not saying it's impossible, because I do it every single day. Heck, I've got, I think, 3 of them under contract right now. So it is very possible, but it's just finding that right house, finding the right buyer, finding the right things. The hard part with that is that if you are buying a house non-contingent and you still have a house, you need to be approved for both houses at the same time, or that's where that bridge loan really comes into play as well, because you can close on house B but still have this one, and then once house A closes, they do it that way. So there's options out there. We just need to sit down and figure out which one is best for you and your family. Next thing is going to be preparing your home for sale. So what I'll talk to you about this one is the same thing I've talked about in listing a home in general. Declutter, stage, make those minor repairs, make those upgrades that you've been finished or wanting to do and or finishing, and having all of that stuff ready to go. I will tell you, the way I like to personally do it is find the house that you want, have your house ready. We're going to call it again house A. Then once we find your house, we put it under contract, house A on the market almost same day. You need to be ready to go on house A, because when you find house B, it's moves very quickly. So be ready to go on that side of it. So you've got your house ready, it's ready to go. Now let's start focusing on buying your place. So like I said, the way I recommend it is you have house A ready, not on the market, not active, not showing, because once we get that one under contract, you've got a hard timeline that you have. So we start searching for your house B. We start rolling into that one. You find it, we get it under contract. It's the same stuff, right? We do making sure that you and I are talking very frequently, making sure you're sending me properties, I'm sending you properties, making sure we're all kind of looking at the same time, finding you that right spot. Once we make that offer, get it under contract, we go through the home inspections, we go through the appraisals, we go through all that stuff. If you have questions about any of that stuff, I do have other videos that you can check out. And I would highly recommend those, because you learn quite a bit in that and what each stage of those process of this process is. But I don't want to dive deep into that this video. So we go under contract, and what I always do and what I would always recommend is when you go under contract on house B, they accept a contingent offer. There is something in that called a kick-out right. And I think the kick-out rights are very important to understand, because you can lose a house there. And the way I always do it is I always write in, inspections do not start until we remove the kick-out right. That's the kick-out right for the house A. That way you're not losing money on inspections. You're not losing money on that stuff. You're not losing time in the contract. There's a lot of stuff that goes into those first 15 days once you go under contract that I think is very important for you to understand, that you don't want to lose that time. So we have that kickout right. What happens, and just to kind of explain that, let's say that you come in, we put house B under contract, and they say, okay, we'll accept your terms, we're good to go. They have a 48-hour, typically it's a 48-hour kickout right. House, you're under contract, another buyer comes in and says, hey, we see this house, we love this house, we want this house, here's our offer. Mr. and Mrs. Seller come in and they say, we love the offer, we like the offer, we're currently under contract with this one, but we're going to invoke the kickout right. Well, you have 48 hours at that point in time to decide on whether you can buy the house without a contingency. You either give the house up at that point, or you have to be able to, you just pretty much have to show that you can buy that house without that kickout right. And that comes with the bridge loan, that comes with being non-contingent and removing all of that stuff. If you can't, there is a potential that you lose this home and lose this contract, and we start over for the home buying process. It is very important to understand, you guys, this is part of it, right? Like it sucks. I've personally been a part of it. I can remember when I was a kid, we had the exact same thing happen to my mom and dad. They came in and had that kickout right invoked, and we lost the house in that one. It sucks. It really sucks. And there's no other way to put it. But that's why you have to be ready, and that's why having short amount of time on your house and having it ready to go is so incredibly important. Because once we go under contract on house A, that kickout right goes away. So there's no more, the contingency stays in place. So if something happens that you don't close on this one, you're okay. You still have the ability to do that. Now, but that kickout right goes away as soon as we put house A under contract. So it's very important to be ready for both sides of that. Next step in the process is just coordinating that closing process. I like to kind of think of it as a domino effect, right? So there's a lot of communication and making sure that we're all good. That's where I come in. Again, I do this every day, so I make sure I get you taken care of. You've got a buyer for house A, buyer one, you're a seller one, okay? And then this one has to buy here. Then you are the buyer two on house B and seller two on house B. And then I'm assuming that seller is probably going off and doing the other. So it's just a domino effect. I think my quote unquote record or something I've been in the chain of is like, I want to say 3 or 4 different houses everything just kind of had to line up in order for my clients to get the house. It works. We do it all the time, so it's very doable. But it's a lot. It's a lot of communication, a lot of coordination, a lot of things there that come into play there. And so, aligning those closing dates is crazy important. So if you're closing on a Wednesday and on house A, and you don't close until Thursday on house B, well, you're homeless for a night. So you need to be paying attention to that one. So you need to close on Wednesday and Wednesday on both of those houses, so you can move out of this house and move into the other one. So that's very important to pay attention to. Making sure you have a backup plan is very important. I will tell you, unfortunately, I've seen it to where buyers don't know and sellers don't know where they're going to stay that night. Well, it's either a hotel room, Airbnb, or riding your couch surfing for a night. And I think if you've got kids, I think it's very important to kind of have that plan set up and have those, no pun intended, but have those contingency plans if something were to go awry. That house is still yours until you close on house A, and this house B is not yours until you close. So there has to be some backup there. I cannot stress this enough. You have to communicate with your agent throughout this entire process. Be very truthful, very transparent, very honest with your agent so that they can help you. Again, I hope that agent is me, but if it's not, you have to discuss everything with your agent and go through that entire process, because it is very, very important, and there are a lot of moving pieces that come into play there. So just making sure you have that ability to do that. Coming from personal experience, there are a million different ways to skin this cat, and I will tell you that there's no wrong way as long as we get the house closed for you guys, and that's the important part. You've decided that the house that you have is too small and it's time to upgrade. That's your choice. which typically is a not necessarily a choice, of more of a necessity. Like I've got a client right now where thankfully, 2 clients actually, where thankfully they are able to buy non-contingent on house B. So we are going to close on house B, get done, move their stuff in, be ready to go, and then we're gonna put their house on the market and get it sold. There's different ways to do it, and I will tell you again from personal experience, I did it where I couldn't do it anymore. I needed the money from my house that I was selling, house A, to close on house B. I needed that money. So I did it that way. It is stressful. There has to be a little bit of leniency. Thankfully, my sellers that I bought from, on house B, they allowed me to use the garage free of charge, honestly, on that one. But there are times that sellers are like, no, we need you to pay $10 a day. Great, I'll pay that all day too. Heck, I'd pay $100 for the month just to make sure I can get my stuff in there and not have to move it from storage unit to the house to in that. I'd rather just throw it all in the garage and just hoof everything around the house as needed. Bridge loan is a fantastic opportunity. You don't see it as often because it does cost a little bit more. So there is something just to kind of pay attention to there. If you can do a non-contingent, I guess I want to give you this little tidbit. A lot of people don't understand this, and a lot of lenders don't tell you because it's a lot of extra work for them. But I'll give you this little secret. If you are able to do the non-contingent offers, you buy house B, then you put house A on the market and sell it, you can actually take that money from house A and you can reconfigure your loan payment because you put more money down, more stuff that way. The lenders will do that. They don't like doing it because obviously they're getting more interest, more money paid, all of that stuff, but they will reconfigure your loan. As far as I know, you can do that once, but you may be able to do it once or more than once, or maybe a time period that you can be able to do it. But I know for sure you can do it at least once. And that would be, if you're able to do the non-contingent and do that one, definitely the least amount of stress possible there. And I would highly recommend that you do the reconfiguration of your loan at that point. Once you sell and take that, your equity, and be able to make a larger down payment on your home. So I would definitely recommend that if you can do it. Not a lot of people can do it, and that's totally fine. Myself included, I couldn't do it when I bought mine. I still don't think I could do it if I bought my house today. So I wouldn't recommend it. I always like the contingency. Just that protects you the most, because if you do this way, you don't sell house A, now you've got 2 house payments that you need to take care of, and just be aware of that. So there's definitely a bunch of ways we can do that. I'd love to help you out and get you taken care of. The other thing too, that this process works if you are selling a house in San Francisco and moving to Manhattan. There's a lot more communication with the agent here and the agent in San Francisco, and making sure those all line up. And it also works the opposite way. You're selling a house here and buying a house in a different town. I can help you out with that way. I can find you an agent to get you hooked up with and make sure you are getting good services there. But also there's a lot of communication on both sides of that, making sure that everything kind of lines up and closes correctly and on time. Buying and selling a home simultaneously does not have to be stressful. If you found this video helpful, and if you have any questions, or if you're looking, absolutely love to have that conversation with you and your family. Just kind of talk about what this looks like and personalize it to you, so that way you're really looking at real numbers, real things, real stuff. Are you going to make enough money to afford adding $200,000 to your loan payment, right? Are you going to be able to upgrade and make sure that that payment is okay? Are the numbers really going to work out? And that's a lot of the conversations that I have with my clients that decide to reach out to me. So be aware of that and have that ability to have those discussions and kind of go through that piece of that. As always, if you guys really enjoyed this content, I would love it if you like it, share it, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you can get notified of any future content that we have coming up. And if there's any questions that you have about buying, selling, investing, or anything real estate related, reach out to me. My personal cell phone number is 785-477-5485. My email is kyle@homesforsalemhk.com. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we'll see you later.